Q&A, your daily, not the coffee Q&A, what am I saying? Welcome, welcome to the Coffee and Cigars live stream. This is the Thursday night hang. How's it going? Hope you're doing well. It is pretty darn hot out here. Like, it's pretty humid. Like, I just came back from New England. I was in New England for the past almost, not really a week, but since Friday. I drove up Friday, came back Tuesday, and on the way back, we had some beautiful weather. Tuesday was beautiful. I don't know how it was down here, but all the way down, it was really nice. And then I think by the time I got to Maryland, I think it was starting to get a little bit heavier as far as the humidity. I don't know, but man, yesterday and today, pretty humid. Especially today. I've been out in the weather most of the day, so it's been pretty humid. I've soaked this shirt several times over today. So how's it going? How was your week? Hope everything's been great. We've got some cigars today. We've got the Espinosa Knuckle Sandwich. And the reason we got into that one is because I was, Brian's with us. What's going on, Brian? And Andrew's here as well. Good to see you. Good to see you guys. I was, what was I doing? What's going on here? I'm looking at my laptop. I know my laptop is totally freaked out. Again, good thing we're not using that to stream today. Hopefully we won't have transmission issues. The laptop doesn't seem to do well in this heat. Like it just craps out. So, but we've had a little bit of issue with the phone. So I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully we won't have too much issues. But I was up there and what was I saying? So I went up to New England. Nice time. You know, I was there to attend to my aunt. My cousin flew out from California, so we were helping my aunt with a bunch of stuff. And then came back on Tuesday. And on the way back, I stopped at a place called Mr. J's. And Mr. J's is a cigar place that I've been to quite a few times over the years. I used to go up to do a lecture at a coffee conference in Providence, Rhode Island. So I would do that every year, and while I was up there, I would always, go by this place, Mr. J's, because they had pretty good prices and they had nice selection. Tony's with us. What's going on, Tony? And George, how was the beach there, George? How was the beach? But I haven't been to this place in at least probably 10 years now, because I haven't. The conference ended. They stopped putting it on at least 10, 12 years ago. And back in those days, Mr. J's Havana was part of the Joyal liquor store. And Joyal Liquors is a pretty big liquor store, and they had this cigar section in the middle. They had a humor in the middle. And they had a really nice selection of cigars. For quite a while, that's where I used to get my stock of Revenges. So that's definitely 2014, 2015, 2016, probably. And they had, nice prices. And so I was like, I'm going to stop by. Punched in the GPS, and I was like, the address looks different because it used to be in West Warwick, Rhode Island. Now it was showing Coventry, Rhode Island, and it was just off the freeway. Before you used to get off 95 and then have to go a bit into West Warwick. So I was like, oh, new place. And turns out that Mr. J's separated from Joyal's Liquors because the family that owns Joyal's sold off the business to someone else and kept the tobacco side of things and took their money and took over an old pizza joint and opened up their own cigar lounge slash bar. So there's a big lounge, nice size humidor, full size bar, full serve bar. So it's really quite a nice spot. And they even have a sign outside, no cigarette smoking. So no cigarette smoking. So that's a nice thing. But I stopped in and looking around. They don't carry Roma Craft anymore. I don't know why. What I was looking for that day, on Tuesday, I was looking for cigars for the road. Like I was going to smoke a so I ended up buying two cigars. One of them was he was kind of like, have you tried the Mi Querida? Have you tried the Dunbarton Trust? And I was like, all right, I'll give it a try. I was hesitant because, I find myself in a difficult position with Dunbarton Trust. They're fine. I just don't feel like they just don't hit my palate, right? So I'm just not terribly excited by them after I smoke them. They're good, but like one of my friends, Chris, like he loves them. He loves them. Totally his thing. It's just not my thing. That's really what it is. And so then he was like, well, I said, well, what else do you have to suggest? He's like, well, how about the My Father? And I was like, he's like, have you tried the My Father Blue? And I was like, you know what? Let me be upfront with you. I just don't groove with My Father. It's like, let me just try to cut to the chase, so I don't have to waste anyone's time. I just don't enjoy them. And so then he was like, "Have you?" Then we ended up at the Mi Querida, and that's what I drove for the first hour coming back, and I was like, "It's okay, it's fine. It just doesn't like. I'm just not excited by it. It is just a decent cigar that doesn't really hit my palate as well as other people it hits. So, but the other one that he was recommending, he was like, "Have you tried the Knuckle Sandwich?" And I was like, "Oh no." And I already know that the Knuckle Sandwich is Guy Fieri's cigar, and I was like, maybe I should give it a try because I don't think that I've ever tried the Knuckle Sandwich before. So we have the Knuckle Sandwich. That's what we have. We have the Maduro Robusto, and I wasn't really. I thought I might smoke it on the way home, or maybe I'll use it tonight. But then I decided to use it tonight, and I was thinking earlier tonight. But today I was thinking I probably should have gotten the larger size because Robusto is pretty diminutive for our show. So 2 hours is a long, even an hour and a half is a long way to stretch one of those. George says the beach was very nice. Jellyfish were a nuisance. Oh gosh, that's too bad. That's too bad. So speaking of the beach, like my aunt, one of her place that we stay is right across the street from a beach. It's kind of like not really Ocean City, but it's kind of similar, right? She has like a beach, and it's on the not it's on the Sound, like the Boston Harbor Sound, right? And it's quite popular. A lot of people go there during the summer, and all the years that my aunt has lived there, I've never been there in the summer. This is my very first time being there in the summer. And I told my cousin before she flew out, I was like, "Hey, I want to go to the beach," and she was like, "Okay." And I never made it to the beach. Did not make it to the beach during the day at all. So I thought maybe I'd get on the beach and at least get in the water a little bit. Nothing of that ever happened. So it's like I missed out. The only time we went to the beach was like late at night after our aunt had gone to bed, like around 10:30, and I would go out and she actually wanted to smoke cigarettes because she doesn't really smoke, but she was like reliving her youth and wanted to have a cigarette. So I had some cigars, and so I sat out there like every night we were hanging out there. It was like we would be out there like at 11:30 at night smoking cigars or cigarettes and cigars. So I got to smoke. I got to go technically to the beach, but I never was on the beach, right? So, and I don't know if it's legal or not to smoke there, but it's nearly midnight. So I was like, well, I don't really care. Like, if the cops want to come and harass us, fine. But it was a nice time in that respect. So how's everything going? Everything was good? Pam says, hi, what's going on, Pam? How are you? Good to hear from you. Who else has been joining us? All right, so that's what we got. And today we're going to do our coffee. And I was feeling like maybe I should do something like cold, right? But it's also hot, and I'm just kind of like, do I want to do anything? Not really. Do I want to make anything? No. Don't want to make anything. Not, well, but I've had a drink that I've been wanting to use, and it's like, maybe it won't fit. And the drink that we have doesn't really fit for anything else. So I was like, well, I'll just keep holding on to it. And today I was thinking, you know what? It's the Knuckle Sandwich, Guy Fieri cigar. This coffee drink has got to be. This is going to be the cigar that is close enough to warrant this thing, right? And Buddy says jellyfish came up the bay all the way to Hart Miller. Oh, man, no getting in the water at Hart Miller Island. Then that's not good. I always enjoyed those times when we were out there on the boat years and years ago when we were young and beautiful. I don't know if I want to be doing it when we're old and fat and ugly. But anyway, so I brought this. I got this something. I think it's fun, right? It may not be fun. Here it is: Snickers iced coffee drink. This is probably the most commercially like I guess, nastiness. I expect nastiness, right? But I was like, oh, but I'm a Snickers fan, so I wanted to try it. Brian says he's very interested in a Guy Fieri level drink. Will the drink have melted cheddar cheese? Oh, I probably should have thought of that. I don't really watch a lot of Fieri, so I don't really know much about him. Like, to me, honestly, Fieri is just like this cheesy TV host, and I'm just like, who is this guy? And like then he opened restaurants and people love him. He's very popular, and so the culinary professional in me is always kind of like. But then I talk to people that I know and trust and respect in the culinary business that have worked with him, and they're all very complimentary about him. He's he knows what he knows. He knows what he doesn't know, and he's not afraid to not know things. And he's super personable to get along with. Like, he's not one of these celebrities that are like very difficult with a lot of attitude. So everybody that I've talked to that has worked with him or met him or in some way or another in the industry, they've been very complimentary about him. So I'm like, honestly, I can't hate on a guy for that. Like, just can't hate on him. So I'm interested to. And people say that, at least from what I read online, they say that he has a very genuine interest in cigars. So he worked with Eric Espinosa, evidently for 18 months, which honestly, in the promo material says they worked on this blend for 18 months, which really doesn't mean much of anything. Really, it could just be on month number one, Eric sends him some cigars to try. It takes him a month or two to smoke them and give back his feedback, and then it takes another month or two to like make another batch and send it over to him. 18 months can fly by in just a matter of, with just a few tastings. And so the 18 month is really quite a lot of hyperbole, in my opinion. But let us try our Snickers. This is probably the worst coffee drink we'll ever have on our little show here. I'm looking for my glasses because I can't see. All day long in the workshop, I have been working without glasses, and I'm like, where did I put them? I didn't even think about. I mean, I've been working without them, and just kind of squinting, and thinking that I should wear them. And then now that I'm actually looking for them, I have they're in the box. You might be like, dude, they're in their case. Why didn't you just know that? Because I don't normally keep them in the case. I put them back in the case before I left. So there we go. Now let's see here. Ingredient list: brewed coffee, skim milk, sugar, cream, potassium phosphate, cocoa, pectin, sea salt, sodium citrate, natural and artificial flavors. It does have a bit of chocolate that will settle. All right, let's see. I'm getting arthritis in my hand. Like, in this hand, it's getting more and more difficult for me to undo bottles like this. I'm really starting to get stressed about it. Oh, mother of God, that's horrific. I mean, it has kind of the flavor of the Snickers, but God, it's terrible. Like, that's not fun. Like, frozen Snickers at the grocery store is fun. Like, there is a strong peanut butter character to them. Oh, man. God. These flavored coffees, like the commercial ones, horrible. Just utter, like, grotesque. They're just grotesque. I mean, it's sweet. There's a little, some creaminess to it. There is, as I'm... So years ago, I used to have a shave ice place. And I was always interested in using peanut butter in the shave ice. At one point, we were trying to use Reese's pourable peanut butter, which is a product that Reese's makes that's, somewhat pourable, but it's still really, really thick and viscous and difficult to work with. So one of the flavor manufacturers sent me some peanut butter flavor, like a flavoring of peanut butter. Man, I hated that stuff. Like that was just. I mean, it tasted kind of like peanut butter, but it just kind of, peanut butter should have viscosity to it, right? It shouldn't be like liquidy. It shouldn't be It shouldn't be like crystal clear, right? Even though it's brown, it's clear. This Snickers tastes exactly like that flavor. I mean, it has that peanut butter that I taste in this is exact. I bet it's the same flavoring company. Like it does have the flavor of peanut butter, but it's also like a grotesque version of the flavor. We're still gonna drink it because it's cold and it's hot. So, Brian says Snickers coffee, perfect. And Andrew says, you at your Bethesda coffee client this Sunday. I will not be because this Sunday I've agreed to help my friend and prepare coffee for the Cincinnati Reds. At least that's the plan at the moment. So I will be at the National Stadium making coffee for the players of the Reds that morning. And then, yeah. So this is Bethesda. I might actually be in Bethesda tomorrow. I'm thinking about going down there tomorrow to make sure that they have enough coffee for the next week. So instead of doing that on Sunday, which I've been trying to do more normally, I'm thinking about doing it tomorrow. Maybe like towards the afternoon. Like maybe hit Columbia first, like in the midday, and then make my way down to Bethesda before 3 o'clock. Do what I need to do there, and then probably park it at Capitol because I don't want to commute back to Baltimore around 5. So that's maybe what happens. I don't know yet. I haven't quite decided on that, but that's where I'm leaning at the moment. All right, so time to get to the cigar. Oh, we got the cigar here. He was here, Mr. J's. This is their bag, Mr. J's Havana Cigar Lounge. If you happen to be up in the Providence, Rhode Island area, nice. Tony says having a Tough White Black Label 20th anniversary torpedo and a Diet Cherry Pepsi. Awesome. So we've got. What do we have here? We've got the Knuckle Sandwich. The Knuckle Sandwich here was $13.50. George is asking, is the George's coffee going to impact how the cigar tastes? Probably. Or, ideally we'll be able to... it's not... I don't think that the flavor of the coffee is such that it's going to obscure the flavor of the cigar. I don't think. We're going to find out. And then as you can see here, the Mi Querida Ancho Corto, $12.75. So this is more expensive than a Steve Saka cigar. That I think the Ancho Corto is bigger. I didn't know that. So it's kind of a box pressed. Right? But it says, can we really call that coffee? I mean, who knows? It's a terrible coffee. I would not I'm not recommending you go out and buy it. Even if you're a Snickers lover like I am, I would not recommend buying it. Just buy the Snickers and a bottle of milk. So here it is, Maduro with Ecuadorian Sumatra Ecuadorian Sumatra Maduro wrapper, Nicaraguan binder, Nicaraguan filler. Made, I guess I don't know what Espinosa does. Does he he's a cigar brand owner because evidently it's made at AJ Fernandez's factory. So is it an AJ Fernandez cigar or is it Espinosa cigar? Obviously, Guy just is smoking it and said, I like this. But who really blends this? I don't know. It's not really clear. But, it feels nice. AJ Fernandez, it's always very... Brian says, did you know there's now peanut Nutella? Ooh. So peanuts and hazelnuts ground together. That sounds very lovely. But a nice size, 5x52, so 5 inches, 52 ring gauge, box press, which I always like box press. So let's get into it and see. There is a ribbon here at the foot of the cigar. Pretty, nice, shiny. Nice color. Peanuts and chocolate, no hazelnuts. What isn't what, peanuts and chocolate, no hazelnut. No hazelnut. Isn't the whole point of Nutella the hazelnut? Like if you don't have the hazelnut, it's not even Nutella anymore. It's patella or something like that. But now, feeling this, it feels very nice. Like there's a nice supple, like a leathery kind of feel to it, like an aniline dyed leather. So very nice. Manure, kind of alluring light manure. The aroma of this cigar, the fragrance of this cigar, this light manureness reminds me, for some reason, it reminds me of the time that I was in the Philippines smelling a cigar, and this is the aroma that I got from there. Tony says that cross marketing to make more dollars. Gotcha, gotcha. That's actually a lovely aroma. So far, nice feeling wrapper, nice alluring kind of fragrance. Oh, that's very pleasant. Okay, so there's some positive notes right now. Positive notes. Fragrance, I'm going to give it a nice high mark for that. Now we're going to get into our cutting. Oops, what's going on here? Sounds a little bit crackly. Brian's asking, how much was the cigar again? The cigar was $13.50. The initial puffs, there's a little bit of sweetness coming across the tongue. A little sweetness, maybe even a little bit of cherry, like cherry candy. That's interesting. We're going to give that high marks too. Cherry candy. I mean, gosh, I'm going to give it a 9. Definitely like a cherry candy. Wow. All right, Guy Fieri. What's going on here? Crunchy Darrow matches. Vintage. They don't make it like this anymore, right? Oh, uh-oh. 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 Oh, son of a gun. Why not? I would say closer to Ludens. But Ludens has a medicinal effect. I was thinking more like a cherry candy, like maybe lifesavers, but not really lifesavers. Okay, so the initial light, ooh, nice. Initial aroma is very nice. I mean, initial flavor on the palate, quite pleasant. So it's dark fruit, sweetness. I wouldn't say dark fruit, but I mean really like if you're eating cherry candy, like candy, not candy, but cherry candy, like hard cherry candy. It had that flavor. Andrew says the porch featuring the orange band Padilla and a gin and tonic with lime. Ooh, nice. That does sound great. All right, so nice beginning. There's a sweetness to the tobacco. Hmm. My initial thought is that so an old time cherry candy that you buy from the paper bag from Cracker Barrel, probably yes, probably as close to that would be the best way to describe it. Definitely a hard cherry candy, and a sweetness to the tobacco. Well, I'm actually surprised. There's a sweet kind of that candy character kind of carries through in these puffs right now. Now you know that I smoke a lot of these robusto type of box press. There's a certain level of draw, ease of draw. This is a little bit tighter than what I'm used to. Like if you're used to the way the Revenge draws, this is slightly tighter. But it's got nice flavor. It doesn't have a lot of body. Like it's not heavy. Like when you start the Revenge, you can feel that weightiness on the palate. This is actually quite light. We've got the guy. I guess this is the Guy Fieri thing, the skull, and I think that's some kind of like chefy looking thing. Espinosa. Does it say Fernandez on this side? I guess that's is that the AJ Fernandez logo? I don't know. I don't know. I would not say that I'm a devotee of AJ Fernandez, but I seem to come across a number of his cigars that I think I like, or I find them appealing. Yeah, definitely like a sweet candy character to it. Tony on the road is with us. What's going on, man? How are things in Cebu? Probably as hot as it is here. Like right now, we've got hot, we've got heat. We're probably like, oh, what does it say here? We're about 85 degrees. No, we're close to 90. We're pushing 90 degrees. Yeah, this would be like hanging out in Manila. Like 88 degrees, high humidity, nighttime. Like if it's like this would remind me of like a Sunday night at the Fairmount, sitting outside on their patio, smoking cigars, because my lounge is closed on Sunday nights. So I think it's a relatively light cigar. Like it's not heavy. Like I'm kind of wanting it to be heavier. I feel like I'm missing that weightiness. But so far, pleasant. And I gotta say, with this sweet, maybe cherry candy aspect to this cigar, Tony says, hot, ready to move to New York. It's no better here right now, my friend. It's no better here. But like I was saying, with this candy aspect of the cigar, I'm actually kind of hesitant to drink more of this Snickers. Although we have to because we want to see how it goes. It we'll find out. Weird. It's just weird. The El Nino. The El Nino. Andrew says DC temp is 77, but feels like 92 because of the. You say 92% humidity? 87% humidity. Oh. Here it says maybe the temperature gauge here is affected by the humidity, but my temperature gauge inside the garage says 88. It's not terrible. Like, I've been in worse. Usually when I'm in Southeast Asia, weather like this is accompanied by long pants and long sleeve shirts. So this is it. This is easier. You know, I think that I would like this to be heavier. Like, it's good. It has nice sweetness. Still that kind of candy, like cherry candy-esque character to it. But I wish there was like more oomph, like more bass, more like roundness to it. Like it's very like high noted in that. It's actually really great with the high note. But it's kind of like if you're listening to music and it's all treble, 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 but no bass. You're like, it's missing. It's missing. I wonder what some of these other reviewers have to say. Let's see. I got the computer lined up here. Espinosa, Guy Fieri Knuckle Sandwich. Why is it not logged in? Hang on 1 second. I gotta jump and make. Okay. So this cigar, I'm looking online now. Evidently, it was launched in 2022, so it's been out for 4 years. And let's see where. Wait. The Maduro. We need the Maduro. Maduro Robusto. Okay, let's see here. Cigars Daily. Oh, that's just a website selling it. We don't want that. Oh, Stogie Press here. Knuckle Sandwich Maduro. 97. Oh my. So Stogie Press says this is from a 2002 article. They hit it out. They hit this one out of the ballpark. Whoa, man, really? Okay, so this Knuckle Sandwich is named after a guy's corporation, which is Knuckle Sandwich LLC. Let's see what they got to say. So for their cold draw, chocolate pepper with a mild natural sweetness. I didn't get much of that. I didn't get much of any of that except for that sweetness. So let's see here. What are they? They pepper notes, natural tobacco sweetness, orange zest. Could be the cherry. Nutty aromas. I mean, the aroma of the cigar, the smoke, is very easy to. Like I inhaled a little bit of it earlier. It's very easy to smell. It's not very like rough. It says that the sweetness will shift into more of a caramel note, which could go well with the Snickers. It mentions a mild mint nuance. You know what? That's an interesting note because there has been an element that I can attribute to being mint that's been kind of underlying that I really haven't been able to identify, but I think that would be a great way to describe it. It's not a forward mint, like it's not like you're smelling spearmint or tasting spearmint, but it's really kind of underlying underneath that cherry. So this guy got 1 hour 50 minutes out of the cigar. I'm like, 1 hour 50 minutes? What are you talking about, dude? Were you asleep? Now, Stogie Press says the Knuckle Sandwich Maduro is one of the best Espinosa cigars to grace his palate. Oh, that's pretty heavy duty. Yes, 2022. Fine core natural sweetness. The construction was spot on. The construction is very nice. Even burn line. The burn line's, I'm getting a little bit uneven burn, probably because of the way that I smoke. He kind of buys into the whole blend for 18 months thing. Solid 97. You know, I can't imagine this being that high. Tony's asking, how as old is that cigar? This cigar, I mean, the cigar line was released in 2022. I think they're still in production, so this is probably, and the place that I got it from, Mr. J's, I'm sure they sell quite a lot of cigars, so it's probably pretty new as far as like construction time. So I don't expect it that it's 4 years old. I mean, could be, but it's very pleasant. It's very enjoyable. I do wish that it had more oomph, right? Like more that low mid bass to mid tone level. Like if you're the kind of person that enjoys that likes cigars, but you don't like the low end, you don't like it heavy, you just want more high notes. This would be excellent for you. Like you would probably just freak out over how good it is. Me, I enjoy the high notes. I'm enjoying this sweetness. I'm enjoying this little hint of mint. I don't get any of the caramel. I don't get any of the chocolate. But I think that, and I'm also sweating. For me personally, if it had more of that bass, I think I'd be like raving about it. But it is missing that for me, and I'm kind of like wanting that. I want to have that. I want that to be more of a foundation for the cigar. Rusty asks, have you ever tried their Select series? They have made an annual release. And, I've not. This is the very first of the knuckle sandwiches that I've tried. Like I was telling you earlier. I mean, I've been hesitant to smoke their cigars because I'm always skeptical about Guy. Even though, and I do acknowledge that everybody that I know that has worked with him, they all have had pleasant things to say about him. So I have respect for what he does. I just always thought it'd be cheesy, but really, this is quite nice. But like I said, I just want it to be like I puff on it, and I'm enjoying this candy as character, and it still has this cherry candy character to the smoke, which is really really unique. Like totally something I don't recall anything like this in the past. But I'm always like I puff on it. Smoke production is pretty good. Like it's not a copious amount of smoke. It's a decent amount of smoke. But I want more heaviness. I want more oomph. Just a little more, not a lot. Just a little more power would be great. Like I would love to tell you, oh, I would like a little bit more of this tobacco. But I can't tell you any of that because I have no idea because the manufacturers refuse to disclose whatever they're putting in their blends because they think that they're some kind of magicians and doing some kind of hocus pocus. But if I if that kind of thing was disclosed over the years of smoking cigars, you'd kind of identify, oh, I think that this particular tobacco gives particular characteristics that I enjoy, and I would be able to tell you, you know what, maybe something like this that has a little bit of whatever leaf would give it just that little bit of extra to like push it higher. But yeah, because of like this guy, Stogie Press, 97. I cannot imagine this cigar getting that high because it just doesn't have the balance. It doesn't have the balance. It's so high noted. Beautifully high noted. Just nothing. I mean, it just. Man, it is hot. But did you like the Chef series, Select series there, Rusty? Tony says maybe it was lost churning during the aging process. I mean, I don't think so. I mean, it could be, but I think this is. I believe that this lack of that weightiness is an intentional blend. Like that's the intent. Which it's not wrong by any means, and it's not necessarily bad. It's just that as I smoke it, and everything we talk about, everything that I talk about is how it appeals to my palate versus a generalization, right? So it's like this is what I would like more from the cigar. Now, and that's why I noted that if you're someone that enjoys higher noted cigars with less body, this would be something you might totally rave about. You might be like, oh my God, it's the greatest cigar ever made. 97. And it would be just and legitimate because it is appealing to your palate. And really, at the end of the day, all tasting is subjective. And all tasting is really meant, it's really hedonism. We're just enjoying it for ourselves. We can converse about the peculiarities of any product. We can talk about what we like about those peculiarities or don't like. But whether we like it or not, at the end of the day, is still just an expression of hedonism for ourselves. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I'm sharing my thoughts because this is what I think in my mind that I would like more of. Like for me, if it had a little more of that power, that body, that roundness, more balance, it would be like killer, like just killer. Killer to my palate. Other people may hate it. Right? It's just like my friend Chris, right? He loves Dunbarton Trust. There is nothing that Steve Saka can make that is bad for him. Like he loves it all. Loves it all. Totally appeals to his palate. Me, I always struggle. It's just like, and like with my father stuff. Most people love it. The the Jaime Garcia blues, the the new blue stuff, all the Pepin Garcia stuff. Everybody seems to a lot of people love them. I'm always struggling because I just have a different sense of taste. Tony says the most recent knuckle sandwich I had was a special edition Nicaraguan Select or something that was very good. Oh, nice. I mean, I can see it. Like, there's some good stuff. Like, this is not bad. I mean, this is really enjoyable. There are beautiful notes happening in this cigar. There's beautiful performance happening in this. It's just that I want more. Like, I want more. And we're plowing through the cigar, plowing through it. Oh man, this smoke is just. I've got another fan. I got the third fan here just to blow it across my face and out of the way. And Tony says, what's your choice if you had to choose your favorite cigar? Oh, of all time. My God. Well, I think, I don't know if I would say there's one cigar that stands above all the rest. There's maybe a pantheon of cigars that I think, for my palate, that I enjoy repeatedly. And most recently would be, of course, the Roma Craft Intemperance BA21 Revenge, box press Robusto, Brazil Arapiraca wrapper. Just love that. I just can't get enough of it. I just want to suck them down all the time, and that has a heavier base than this. Like I can't help but to wonder, like if I had that kind of bass note of the Revenge with the high notes, the cherry notes of this, that could be a unique, interesting symphony. It could also crash and burn horribly. So I like that cigar. I also have always liked and enjoyed smoking the Tatuaje Kohonu, which nowadays is called the Kohonu 2003. For me, also the Paul Gamirian Bellicoso Maduro, always enjoyable. A little bit lighter bodied definitely lighter bodied than the Revenge, and less body than the Kohonu, but still a beautiful cigar. And then I also really, classically, I also, when they're done well, when you can find a really excellent example of one, the Monte Cristo number 2 Habano. Man, that is, of all the Havanas that I've smoked, like when they're done well, wow, they're outstanding. They're not always done well, which is the problem. Right? Spend all this money and you're just really just throwing the dice on it. But also things have changed over the years, right? The more that I've smoked, the more my palate has changed. And what I might have enjoyed a long time ago may not necessarily be that exciting to me today. Like back in the 90s, we smoked a lot of the green labeled Arturo Fuente. Love them, but they're still good today, but it's maybe a little bit on the more benign side to what I enjoy nowadays. Tony says, nice selection. Yeah, give those a try. See what you think. You might hate some of them. Totally normal. Like one of my friends, like, I think it's important to be open to like different tastes because I know I've said this before, but like one of the cigars that I found very difficult when I smoked it was the Gurkha 12 years vintage cellar aged. And man, I smoked one of those and I was like, God, this is just dog rocket, just horrible, like just terrible. Like I was dying every moment of it. But it was gifted to me by the rep, who was really a great guy, and we were in New Orleans, and I didn't have a cigar, and that was the only one that I had that night. And he gave me one. And I was very grateful to him that he was kind enough to give me a cigar. But I hated every moment of it. Hated it. But one of our friends at here, man, that's his favorite cigar. He's like, I love that cigar. It's the greatest cigar ever. It's like, really, dude? So everybody's tastes are different. And Tony says, that's what I miss about the States. Lots of cigars. Yeah, that is an advantage here. We do have a lot of cigars. Believe me, I understand your pain. Although I imagine that in Cebu it must be more exacerbated because there's less going on there. Oh, we should be scoring this. All right, because we are definitely flying through this cigar. We're definitely well into the second third. So I think the body is light, super light. I think it's very good. 8. Flavor, I'm going to say 8.75. Really great. Excellent. I don't know yet. Actually, it should be excellent. I think the flavor should be excellent. I'm going to upgrade that score. Because you know what? There's no reason for me to say that it's very good plus plus, what it's and not excellent because there is a lot of beauty happening in this cigar. Like it's the high notes are really beautiful. What I'm having trouble with is getting this band off, right? Like I think that round thing here is where the seam is, and I can feel. Look, you can see that I've kind of lifted it. I cannot seem to like take it off. Oh, it's got to be that. It's just stuck there really, really well. That's very irritating. Oh, there we go. I got it. I got it. I got it. George Sam, this cigar doesn't say 923. I would be very surprised. But I do have a backup cigar because I knew this was so small. One that's probably going to be pretty horrific after this one. So how's your week been? Anything interesting going on? Like I said, when I was up in New England and just running around. I went to I looked at a place though while I was there because many years ago when I was young, my aunt would come to visit us here in Baltimore, and she would always bring baked goods from a department store in Boston called Jordan Marsh. Jordan Marsh was a big department store of that area, and they had a great bakery. And their specialty was blueberry pies and blueberry muffins. So she would bring blueberry pie, blueberry muffins. I love their muffins. Like their muffins were like a revelation to like my 5-year-old self. I was like, so ever since I was a child, these have been the hallmark of blueberry muffins, right? Like just everything that I tried from anywhere, I always compare to the original Jordan Marsh. So about 15 years ago, I decided we're going to start offering. I wanted to offer a really great blueberry muffin at Spro. So I started doing research and reading about it and working on recipes to formulate my own version of it. And we were able to develop a recipe that I think is god awful close. Like if it's not, it is what I remember in my mind's eye, and it is everything that I would hope for in a muffin. Like it is to me one of the greatest muffins ever made. We would offer on Fridays. But I never thought about this until we were up there this time, and I was thinking, oh, you know what? We're here in Boston. Somebody here in the Boston area must have mimicked the Jordan Marsh muffin. So we ran a search, and the closest one that came up was a place called the Muffin House. We hustled all the way out to the Muffin House, and this place was bustling. Like they were like banging with the muffins. They got all kinds of muffins, but they were just banging on them. You're like, wow, man, this place is busy. People love these muffins. And it's got the classic characteristics of the Jordan Marsh. Super huge, big top, kind of baked a little bit hard. It's got a lot of like, I mean, it's chock full of blueberries. It's got like embedded with a lot of that big sugar crystallization, so it's like a crunchy. So overall, very good. But they gave their own twist to it, which so I'm looking at the crumb, right? I'm taking it apart. I'm looking at the crumb. I'm like, so what? I don't know what you guys do, but for me, whenever I am analyzing a baked product, I'm always tearing it open and looking at the crumb because the crumb tells you a lot about the process and how it's being done and everything about a lot of you can learn so much about a baked good from looking at the crumb. But one of the things I noticed about this muffin as the first time I bit it, it looked a bit yellow. I was like, looks yellow to me. And I tore it open. It's got great texture, a little more toothiness, right? A little bit coarseness, and also a dramatic amount of sweetness. Like it's got a sweetness to it, and it's got a corn kind of sweetness. And I'm looking at this yellow crumb, and I'm thinking they've got to be cutting in cornmeal into this because there's no way you get this yellow without and that cornbread flavor without it. And so they're mixing in cornmeal, which is a nice, it's an interesting touch. Like it's a unique thing for them, and I'm sure they have a customer base that loves it. And I think it's a very good muffin. Like it's a solid, worthwhile to seek out muffin. But for me, I'm always looking for a replication of the Jordan Marsh muffin. So to me, it's like not as good as it could be. It could be better. If you deleted the cornmeal, it would be great. I just don't like cornmeal in muffins. But that doesn't. If you love cornmeal in muffins, you love this muffin. So that was a good adventure. That was a nice place. Didn't really go to many coffee shops. Went to the one that I go to, I found back in October, which is close to where my aunt lives, like down the street. Very pleasant there. Always nice time to visit. They make nice enough coffee. Although I have been toying with getting back into the retail side of things again. A friend of mine called me up and he's like, "Hey man, what do you think of doing another project?" I was like, sure. So he's got a bit more resources and capital to work with. So he's like, "Yeah, let's go look at locations." I'm like, "All right." So I guess we're going to start looking at locations. Which I got to say, a little bit exciting. I always enjoy the build phase, right? The planning and the building of a new place. That's always very exciting. The operation is great, but it's like, and the nice thing, my friend is also kind of like, we're kind of like in line with some of our thinking, right? Like if you go to a lot of coffee places, they may make nice coffee, but everything's kind of like a little bit disheveled, right? They're not, the baristas are not well presented. And I'm like, we need to, and he was like, we need to have well presented. I was like, we are definitely simpatico in that. Like I don't like it. I want baristas to be well presented. I went to a place also in Boston. There's a French bakery chain. There's even one in Bethesda called Tate. These guys do very good. They do it very very well. Like they are super well executed. Lovely interiors, all like white tile. Really great equipment, great layout. I was standing at their bar, trying to look behind the counter to see how do they set it up. I'm like, oh, there's some smart choices here. Like this is well done, like well executed. Like the placement of like, even the placement of the retail bags for like, you buy your like pastries, they put in a bag. The location of it, like under the register, I was like, oh, that's a good spot. That's a good spot. These guys have thought it out. So, but at Tate, the baristas or the staff is they're wearing. I don't remember what pant wear they're wearing. As I was just looking at from the counter up, white T-shirts with like their logo on it, and then a white apron. I was like, that looks nice, nice, clean, not too fussy, well presented. Right, that's what you want. Well presented. Brian says 2 more deliveries in my cozy corner is wrapped up for 2026. Awesome. So we're going to come over and smoke in your living room. So yesterday, while I was on the way back, or no, Tuesday when I was on the way back, I stopped off in New Jersey. Trying to get through New York City is always like a problem. Andrew says, to me, Tate is mostly present Atari on. That must be a Siri thing. Oh, presentation is on. You mean the presentation's good? If that's what you mean, I agree. I think their presentation is solid. Like I've been to the tate that I went to before, and I was like, I'm going to stop by there and check it out. This is on. Was it on the way home? Yeah, it was on the way home yesterday, and I was like, I'm going to go check it out. Oh, and on Tuesday. Yeah, nice. I got a almond croissant. Nice. Although I got to say, almond croissants are historically one of my favorite croissants, but I've been going back to this place called Bonjour here in Baltimore. They have a chocolate almond croissant. I love that one. I love the chocolate almond croissant. The kids can't get enough of that. Tony says, I heard it's better to use the transit. The transit? Oh, you mean to get into the city? You know, it is. It is. But I was driving down from Boston, and the tricky part is, as you're driving, you have to, unless you go really far out and add like another hour to your trip, you kind of can't avoid passing through part of New York, like either crossing the Tappan Zee Bridge into New Jersey or crossing into the city and going across the George Washington, which is what I ended up doing. So you just got to time it, right? Like, and it's always like, and you don't really want to do 95 through Connecticut because that is just misery. Like I've done that a couple times in the past. That is just misery going that way. So you want to get around. But I ended up doing most of 95 yesterday. I was even around 3:30. I was passing Greenwich, Connecticut. And George had always been like, you need to go check out the tobaccos of Greenwich. Like, it's a great place. You will love it. And I was like, do I have time to stop there? And so I was like, I asked the GPS. I was like, or I asked the AI. I was like, okay, so if I stop at Tobaccos of Greenwich for an hour or an hour and a half, what happens? And they were like, and even the AI was like, don't do it. If you got to stop, don't stay longer than 20 minutes, because where you are now, if you wait an hour or hour and a half, you're going to put yourself right in the heart of like rush hour through New York City. And I was like, ah. So I decided to bypass the Greenwich, head straight through, still hit a lot of traffic. And then I thought, let me stop by Riverside, New Jersey, because there's a big Japanese market there. So I was like, let me go visit the Japanese market, see if I can get anything. So I had dinner there because I got there around 5:30 or so. Did some shopping. There's a big bookstore, Japanese bookstore, Kinokuniya. They always have like magazines. So there's a magazine called Brutus from Japan called Brutus, and one of the versions of their Brutus magazine is called Brutus Casa. It's about home design. And they had this one issue. It turns out they had an issue about coffee shops. And I was like, ooh, we're talking about doing a new coffee shop. There's some good examples of design, of coffee design. So let me go buy that book. So I bought that. So I haven't really looked through that yet, but just use it as a springboard to kind of foment the mind. So still with the high notes, still with the cherry. Like there's definitely that cherry candy character to this. Really quite interesting. A little more Snickers. I mean, the flavor of this Snickers is so synthetic. Like everything, the peanuts, the caramel. The only thing that may be real, like you can see it's kind of settling here. There's some cocoa, some chocolate sauce. That's perhaps the only real thing in this. Otherwise, it's all very synthetic tasting. I'm going to pull up the stream itself. This would be easier for me to see what you're writing here. Tony says, don't forget Tuesday morning with the animal so you can get more chocolate almond croissants. That's true. Unless we end up having to tour some potential locations because we're talking to a broker about it. So I expect that he's going to come. I think we're going to do. I think we're targeting Wednesday, so Tuesday should not be a problem. So there it is. You're going to be. You might be in the area Tuesday morning, 10 a.m. Well, really 10:15 because I've never passed by there at 10 a.m. and it's open yet. So 10:15 at Tony's place. Cigars. Just this one cigar. Easy, quick in and out. Still have plenty of time to do the day. Which is good because, I've got the wine source called me the other day and my guy there was like, dude, we got your wines. I was like, oh, excellent. I've been looking for this wine from the Rhine of Germany, a vineyard called Baskin. I met the owners a few years ago, tried their wines, white wines, so Riesling type of wines. Beautiful stuff. A lot of shale, so high minerality, crisp, clean, just, man, it's really, when it comes to white wines, that's really what I like. So I was like, nobody had it. So I was asking the guys at the wine store, hey, can you get this? They're like, yeah, we can get it, but it may take a while. I was like, I don't care how long it takes. Just call me when it's here. It could take 6 months. I'm okay with that. Andrew says, baked goods aren't commensurate. Oh, so you're saying that Tate's baked goods are not commensurate with the presentation of their space? I can see that. Although I gotta say, I thought that my almond croissant, it had a chock full of sliced almonds on, like just piled on it. I thought it was good. Not my favorite. Like when it comes to croissants, I think I like a softer croissant. Like I think about the almond croissants that we used to get for Spro that was made by a friend of mine, Joseph, who used to own Patisserie Poupon here in Baltimore. Loved his style, like everything about it. That's the kind of like that softer kind of croissant. Not like Costco soft, but like it's a softer. And then there used to be this little bakery close to where I used to stay in Paris. I used to stay at this little hotel in the 7th, and it was actually the Rue Amélie. So if I went south on the Rue Amélie to the cross street, I forgot the name of it, and hook a right, walk down like 3 blocks, there was this little patisserie, viennoiserie place, that would make croissants in the morning. God, they were so good, soft, beautiful, just beautiful, beautiful. Like what I really like. What I don't really like, I will eat them and I will enjoy them. But what I don't really like are the glacine type of croissants. The ones that are like puffy and like they're like shattering. When you break them, they shatter and there's like shards of croissant everywhere. I don't really like that style. Like that. I'll eat them. Don't get me wrong. I will eat croissants. Anybody makes them, I'll eat them. But that's not the one that I like. But I do like the ones that they do. Like the ones that they have at the Bonjour bakery here, they're a little bit more crisp, but still soft. I like they kind of strike the balance. George will be there Tuesday morning. Excellent. And Andrew says yes and overpriced. Yeah. I mean, it's Bethesda and it's Tate and they're kind of fancy. So yes, absolutely. Like I think the idea, and we haven't really sat down to talk about the concept or anything. We're just really just kind of throwing the ball around at the moment. But I would like to see something very like comfortable, well presented but comfortable, and also hopefully at price points that are not too dramatic. Like I don't want dramatic price points. I want reasonable price points. Because if it ends up in Baltimore, Baltimore's not fancy like Bethesda, right? Like the clientele here is much more relaxed. but something that would be along that line. And also something that has a variety of flavors, right? Not just, but there's a place that I think of here in Baltimore, close to, actually pretty much next door to Bonjour, a place called the Corner Pantry. Really great combination of kind of breakfast, lunch restaurant and coffee spot. They strike a really good balance. So they've got like prepared foods, they've got to-go foods, coffees, and the owners are British. I was going to say English, but I don't know if they're actually English or just British. They're probably English. So they have a very English UK kind of menu, which is fine. Like that's great. And it's very, very popular in the area that they're in. Like I want it to be American, but with a few items that are kind of unique and different. Like on this morning's like live stream, the coffee Q&A live stream, I got some shokupan, the Japanese bread from the bakery in New Jersey. And I was like, oh, let's do for this morning's episode. We did the toast. We did butter soy toast. It's basically the toasted shokupan with butter, melted butter, and soy sauce. Really kind of interesting, unique, fun, nice flavors, you know, and a very different kind of thing that I think people might respond well to. So I think a place that could experiment and play around with those kind of things, I think could be very interesting. Tony says Baltimore is where Double D is this Double D. What is you mean Double D? This Double D? Like big servings? I mean, I think big servings are fine. Like I don't have a problem with big servings. Big servings at a reasonable price. Like one of my favorite diners, I used to go to it all the time. Like I would buy breakfast sandwiches there all the time, like without even thinking about it. And the breakfast sandwich, toast with fried egg. Fried egg is the key. Fried egg, American cheese, and sausage patty, $4.50. Like all day, every day, $4.50. Not even thinking about it, just go get it, no problem. Then over the pandemic time, costs went up. Now that same sandwich is $7.50. And I still know the owners of the place. And I'll run into the owners all the time, or every once in a while. And they're like, oh, we haven't seen you in a while. I was like, I know. Like, we'd love to see you again. I was like, all right. But I don't go there as often because it costs $7.50 for the sandwich. I'm like, it's past the threshold that I want to spend every day. So that's why I'm thinking, that's why even when I was thinking about doing that other retail spot here in Cockeysville, the initial idea was to do coffee and pastry for $5 because I could control the cost of the coffee, but I couldn't really control the cost of the pastry because I didn't want to bake it in-house. And it became unavoidably apparent that in order to get the level of product that I would be happy to serve, there's no way you can meet the price point. It was an impossibility. It's like it could happen, but then we're serving like Costco muffins. Costco muffins and like really high quality coffee, not really commensurate. Oh, Dunkin' Donuts, not. Yeah, my friend was telling me today, he was like, have you heard of this place called Seven Brews? And I was like, what? It's a place up in Abingdon. Abingdon, it's a big chain. Started somewhere in the country, and then through a series of mergers and acquisitions with larger like entities, they've rolled it they're rolling it out nationally. They even got it formulated down to a science where they'll build a pad site, and then the building itself is prefab, so they just roll it in, assemble it, and it's done and ready to go. So their construction time is super quick, and they do twin-sided drive-throughs. And evidently, with their menu and all the flavors and all the variations, there are potentially 20,000 drink combinations, and it's really drink focused kind of place. And he was like, have you seen that? And I was like, no, I looked all this up in the last couple hours. And I was like, no, I haven't seen that. But interesting, and they follow a similar style of drive-through ordering that Chick-fil-A does. So they got these lines, and they have a runner, the order taker, that's out with a pad in line with the cars, just going car to car, taking the orders, transmitting them back to the facility, and they got a whole team making the drinks, just trying to churn it out. I don't think I want to do something like that. Like that's like I watched some videos on YouTube about it, and they were doing interviews and tours of their facility. And these are like videos that I think the company sponsored people to make, and it's like, and which is fine because they want to hype their stuff, and it's like since they're doing tours inside the facility, it's very interesting. Like, okay, let's see what they got. 4 group espresso machines. They've got like a ton of Torani syrups, and it's like, oh god, that's not what we want to do. So now that we're here, cigar's getting a little bit heavier, a little bit thicker. That kind of heat buildup is happening. But let's go back here. So let's go back. I think we're going to still stay with 9 and 8 for the body. That gives us 17. Okay. It is now 9:21. We're going to beat 9:23 there, bro. Maybe not by much. Maybe 9:25. But while I was in Boston, I was able to go to my favorite seafood joint. It's actually in a place called Waltham, which is not Waltham. It's not Waltham. Waltham's way out. I can't remember the name of the neighborhood now, but it begins with a W, close to Logan Airport. And it's a place that I was turned on to like right around 2008. One of the guys that I knew who's a barista up in Boston, I was like, I'm heading to Boston because it was after one of those conferences. I said, I'm heading to Boston to go visit my aunt. He said, oh, dude, you need to go to my like lobster roll joint. And I was like, where is it? He's like, it's like right under the landing slope of Logan Airport. I was like, what? So I went out there, and this little teeny tiny shack is literally under the glide path of a runway for Logan Airport, right at this channel crossing. And you'd sit there in this teeny tiny hut, eating this really amazing lobster roll. And every like 4 minutes, here comes an aircraft, like, gonna land on top of you. It's pretty awesome, actually. Like you go outside and watch the aircraft land. So about 12 years ago, I guess Logan Airport bought off the land and kicked them out. Well, I guess they sold the land. So they moved across the channel, which is, just a few hundred yards away. Built a new facility, and it's huge. Now there's so much seating. Like before, there was no seating. You'd sit either at this little countertop by the window, or you'd sit in your car. And in the wintertime, that's kind of difficult. But now it's beautiful seating. Cash only, right? That's really a great idea. I love the cash only place. But the seafood is fresh and just beautiful stuff. Like I love to go there. Although over the years, I don't know if this is true from back in the old days, but they don't really salt the food. They keep it relatively neutral. So you want to add some salt to your food, but man, all fresh, just delicious. George says, I know I should have gone with 9. There it is, 2124. Now, I do think that this last third, where it's gotten a little bit thicker, not as good, not as enjoyable. We're getting a little more weightiness to it, but it's detracting from the beauty of the flavor overall. Andrew says Winthrop. Thank you, Winthrop. Go check it out. Belle Isle. Did I say the name? I don't think I did. Belle Isle Seafood. Fabulous. If you're ever in Boston, it's the only place that I recommend. I mean, I say go there and check it out. And I remember back in 2003 when I was just starting in the coffee business, they were having the coffee trade show that year in Boston. So I was going up there, and since my sister-in-law went to school there, she was like, "Ooh, let's all go." So we she came up, brought all these friends. We had a whole group, and I was really into like finding like a really great clam chowder. So I called my aunt and I was like, "I need a great clam chowder. Can you look for a place?" She's like, "Okay." She called back. She said, my friends tell me legal seafood. And I was like, we had a legal seafood here in Baltimore. And I was like, I'm not driving to Boston to eat at legal seafood when I can eat at legal seafood here in Baltimore. We need to find someplace like really down home. So she asked some more friends. Came up with this place called the Fish Pier. I don't know if this place still exists. I keep forgetting to look it up. But in 2003, the Fish Pier was this little tiny joint in a neighborhood called Dorchester, it's a Southie neighborhood, so South Boston. Very Irish Catholic. Very unique neighborhood. We get out to this place. This is easily the most racist like experience that I've had in my life. And I've never been to the South, so I don't know, like probably would have had much more adventurous things there, but we're at Southie. We walk into this place, and I tell you what, my aunt's with us, right? My aunt is completely oblivious to this. She's just an old battle axe, right? Like she just doesn't give a damn. But I tell you what, we walk into this place, and if it was like one of those movies where there's a jukebox playing, that jukebox would have scratched to a stop. Like these people looked at us like, what the fuck are you guys doing here? And I was immediately like, what the fuck are we doing here, right? The girl at the counter, like, she's like looking at us like, what the fuck? And my aunt is like, whoa, can we order? And she's like, well, you can't sit down. You have to order here. And she's really curt. And I'm like, uh-oh. My aunt, again, totally oblivious. Like, she's lived in Boston for the last, 50 years, so she has no idea. She's not paying attention. Not reading the room. And I'm like, how do we get out of this, right? Like, how do we... I mean, it was so crazy. Like, the cooks in the back came out to see who the fuck are these people, right? And all of us are like, oh, uh-oh. And she's like, well, what do you want to order? And I was like, well, I learned one truism while I lived away. And that is, if you're from Hawaii, like if you go out, you travel around the world, you tell people, like, hey, where are you from? I'm from Baltimore. Oh, okay, no big deal. But if you tell them that you're from Honolulu, that usually carries something. And I was like, I got to find a way to play that card, right? So she's like, what do you want to order? And I was like, well, I don't know, but I don't know what's good here because we don't have this kind of seafood in Honolulu. Like, pretty loud. The moment that girl heard that, she was like, you guys are from Hawaii? I was like, yeah, we're just here visiting for a trade show. The moment we were from Hawaii, things turned around, right? Like she was suddenly very nice. She was suddenly like, why don't you sit down and I'll come take your order. And after that, we had a great time, had a nice service. Everybody was nice to us. But until that moment, like I was like, oh, we are kind of in deep here. Because the Southie of Boston in those days was not the gentrified neighborhood that it is today. It was very old school. So very interesting. Tony says, not to side with your aunt, but the original legal seafood was spectacular compared. I mean, I I don't necessarily doubt that, but I'm like, I'm not going to go to illegal seafood when there's one here in Baltimore. It's just not, that just seems crazy. I have been to legal seafood since the original location. It's good. Better than Belle Isle. I like Belle Isle better. Andrew says my favorite Boston seafood place back in the 70s and early 80s was a place called the No Name. The No Name restaurant, I believe that's still around because maybe, I think in 2013 I was in Boston for the same trade show. I actually did a tour of different places for clam chowder. I think No Name was one. I went to a whole bunch of places. I think that might have been one of them. But I did visit a lot, and they were all very good. But now I just go there. And then my aunt, because she lives in the South Shore of Boston, which is souther than Southie. So she likes a restaurant there called Bay Point. So we go, and that's kind of fancy. It's like sit down, they serve you, and they do all this stuff. Like it's nice environment. They have like this lobster imperial that's all like served beautifully. They have prime rib if you want it. So a lot of times we didn't go there this time. Normally we go there, but we didn't go there this time. Interestingly, in south of Boston is a town called Quincy. And over the last, I guess, 20 years, Quincy has become like Asian Mecca for Boston. Like there's a whole nother Chinatown there. So when I picked up my cousin from the airport Friday night, she was like, let's go get something to eat. So I was like, let's go find something in Chinatown. So we're in Quincy. So we're just driving through Quincy, Main Street, Quincy, and just see us. And there's a place. Ooh, look at that place. That looks good. A little bit dirty, chock full of Chinese people, seafood restaurant. Let's go there. Had a great meal. Fabulous, fabulous. Dirty Chinese restaurant or place that looked kind of dirty, filled with Chinese, kind of noisy. Usually very good. What is being killed outside? I don't know if you can hear that. Tony says, I'd liken it to the original Roy Yamaguchi's place in Hawaii versus the one in downtown. I don't know. I've been to both of those, and the one in Baltimore was solid. I would say it was as good as the one in Hawaii Kai, the original Roy's. All right, we are at the very end of this one. I'm gonna put that down because there's really no point. Now I gotta say, I do think that it lost a little bit in the last third, so I'm gonna say 8.75 for the flavor. Still holding at 9 for the body because the body's still kind of on the low side. Now burn and draw. Burn and draw's been great. Like I'm gonna say 9.5. Consistency 9. That can't be right. Is that right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I guess so. No, that's not right. This is not. There's no way that these numbers are correct. Oh, I did have 8. 8. Oh, you know what? I'm adding wrong here. Let's do this again. 17, 26, 43, 16. Then overall, I'm going to say 8.5 overall. All right, there we go. So I say 86.75 for the overall score. I thought that was a nice cigar, but I think that's reflective of, how I kind of perceive it. It's really great high notes, beautiful high notes. That cherry candy thing is really lovely, but just kind of missing that base note, that roundness, that balance that I would like to have. So there that is. Brian's asking thoughts on Bethany's Bakery. I like Bethany's. Bethany's is a bakery here in Cockeysville, Maryland. What I think Bethany does better than anyone else, or that's very noteworthy and worthy of the drive to get it, is their cinnamon roll. Like, and I'll be honest, like if you, I typically will go there and I like to buy their day olds. Sometimes they'll have day olds, so it's half price. And I'll take that cinnamon roll that's a day old, I'll bring it home and I will put it in the oven and it'll be perfect. But what makes their cinnamon nice is that if you were a fan of, and if you believe that the Cinnabon is the only cinnamon roll ever, then you will not like their cinnamon roll. What they do is they use a laminated dough. So instead of making the regular dough, the soft dough for the cinnamon roll, they make a laminated dough, basically the dough that you use for croissants. Laminated dough, so it has this beautiful flakiness and texture to it, a little bit crisp, a little bit soft. I love that. I love what they do there for that. I think that is their true stellar item. Brian says, I didn't have to relate. You're right, I didn't, which is why for Burn and Draw, I gave it a 9.5. Consistency, I gave it a 9. So, I mean, that's very high. It's just, the body really was just very good. A lot of 8s. So 3 8s for the 3 bodies just brings it down a little bit heavier. Brian says, yeah, that's cinnamon roll. Yeah, see, you know. George says, end time 9:33. I was 10 minutes off. All right, try to prove that. Right. All right, so I said I did have a secondary cigar. This one, kind of interesting. So at Spuro, I had a little toolbox that I kept a bunch of stuff in. And many, many years ago, probably around 2010, 2011, somehow somebody gave me a little like 10 or 20 pack of Bearing cigars. And I put them in the drawer at the shop, and it sat there ever since. It sat in storage. It sat at the roastery for a couple of years. Then it sat in storage for a year or two. And then I finally took it all. I cleaned out the box, and I use it here in the garage now. And I put all of this stuff that was in it in a big box. And I was digging through. I was thinking, what am I going to smoke for the secondary cigar? Because I was pretty sure we're going to run out. So I was like, you know what? It's been sitting in there all this time. It's been sitting there all summer. So perhaps there's been some hydration to it because of the humidity. So I thought I'd try it. This here, the Bearing cigar. Unknown date, probably 2010. So we're going to try it and see. It could be horrible. It could fall apart. Who knows? I've never smoked these cigars. I don't think I did. I think I had them at the shop. I kept them at the shop because I thought, if ever I want to smoke out in the garden, I'll smoke this. Never did. So here it is. Colorado wrapper, probably a Connecticut. Feeling it a little bit on the dry side, like it's not fully hydrated. You know what it smells like? You know how if you go to a cigar shop and there's old smoke, the old smoke cigar shop, smell at the cigar shop, that's what this smells like. Like we were at Fader's Towson for like, it's just been sitting around, like, if you were just like smell the couch or something, it's probably this. Go figure. So I'm gonna cut it. We're gonna see what happens when it cuts. Will it be too crispy? Will it fall apart? How's the draw? There's a, it's relatively dry on the draw, but there's a, I don't know what cigar this is, but did Bering make a like a flavored cigar? Because there's definitely a taste of flavoring here. It says imported, all natural. But I feel like there's some flavor on it. Flavor's kind of weird. You know, smoking, the smokability of it is actually not terrible. Like, there's a good resistance to it. Feels like it's burning all right. Like if I squeeze it, like I'm not, there's no cracking. So perhaps the natural humidity of the ambient environment helps. Which bears to reason because when I used to live in Honolulu and I started smoking cigars, like I would keep my cigars in a humidor in my place, but I really didn't do anything to them. Like I didn't really pay that close attention. But because there was so much humidity in the air, the cigars were always in relatively good shape. Which, if you look up Hawaii and you look up Cuba, they're relatively on the same latitude. So if you can like naturally keep cigars in Cuba, then you should be able to do it in Honolulu, which seemed to bear out. So in the summertime here in Maryland, because we have so much humidity, not too bad. And not terrible. There's, it's not terribly distinct. There's a weird, like, maybe fruit, maybe flavor. But if you needed a cigar to pass the time, like, you know, cutting the lawn, playing golf, hanging out with people, and you needed something to do, this is not too bad. At least at the moment. But this has got to be at like 2010, maybe 2011 at the latest. Because it has been sitting in that toolbox for a long, long time. It has a little bit of an ashiness on the finish right now. Not horrible. Last week I mentioned that I was working on a vise, restoring a vise. One of these things called pattern maker's vise. And I don't know if I mentioned this last week, but when I was tearing it apart to restore it, I discovered that one of the dogs, which is this long, like, cast iron piece, had broken in half sometime over the last 118 years. And typically when you have cast iron that breaks and you want to put it back together, you braise it. So I was like, well, okay. So luckily I found a fabricator close by, a place called Decker Fabrication. It's actually just down the road. So I went over there and I was like, hey, can you braise this? And the guy was like, well, I can do like a bronze welding. And I was like, is that different than brazing? He's like, well, it's welding and not brazing. I said, I think it's better. I was like, okay. I was like, you do what you do because this is your deal. Like you're the expert. I just saw somebody on YouTube braising. I have no idea whether that's great or not. So he's like, well, how soon do you need? I said, well, I'll be back next week. So he's like, yeah, when you're ready. So I picked it up today or yesterday. Great, nice job. I've installed it already. But I have this problem with the vise. Like the vise jaws are supposed to adjust angle, and the way you adjust it is with this screw. There's something wrong with the screw, and I can't figure out what's wrong with it. And I was trying to pop the pin, but I can't get the pin out. So I brought the other half of the thing there today, and I was like, hey, can you fix this? I was like, yeah, we can fix that. Okay. So hopefully it won't take too much longer, and it'll be ready. Maybe hopefully good for another 118 years. Tony says, did the cellophane have a barcode on it? No, no barcode. Just a lot of yellowing. Because that reverse B does not look like a bearing band. They were blue and gold. Maybe it's not bearing. Let me see if I can find the package. I didn't look at the package. I just grabbed the cigar that was showing. Let's see. They're all just jumbled in here. Like, see, there's. Oh, I even have smaller cigars. There's even this one. Can't tell what that is. Oh, little tiny CAOs. Another small CAO. Another this big B. Maybe I don't have a package anymore. Guess I don't. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't have. I mean, these, I think, predate the era when they had barcodes on them. Andrew says, toolbox kept. Any ode to 3-in-1 notes? Or maybe a fine Festool? No, these are all from my pre-Festool days. Festool days for me is really just in the last few years. For most of my time, I've been a DeWalt guy. Actually, its smokability is not terrible. Like, it's pretty good. I was asking my niece earlier today about this 7 Brew coffee joint. Probably messaged her like 3 hours ago. Finally, she replied back. I mean, not the greatest flavor, of course, but not horrible. Like I was expecting it to be really kind of like mucked up. Now that I'm at a certain point of life and in the coffee industry, and with the potential of doing another retail outlet, I was thinking I'm kind of old, right? I'm kind of old. I'm kind of old school, not necessarily hip with what's cool today. Now, some of the baristas that I know that are within the organization, they they're in their 20s, so they're going to have a certain range that appeals to them. But I'm also thinking like, what will appeal to a younger generation as well? So I bet, and that's so I think I'm going to tap into my niece and her friends to see like what's appealing to you guys, because it's time to look at like if we can appeal to the younger people, meaning that the ones that are kind of high school today, that could carry over as they get older. Because what's chic and cool to me doesn't really, may not be appealing to a younger set. Tony says, throw the others in the Obrador and see what. Oh, good idea. Good idea. And Starbucks pink drink. But to be honest with you, the pink drink is great. But the pink drink now is getting kind of old. Like that was a drink that appealed to my niece probably when she was like 12. I don't know if it's. I mean, it probably still appeals to them today. That's why I'm going to tap into them and be like, hey, what do you guys think? Bring them in for some recipe development. Tap into their social media world, right? Something like that. I think that's probably a great way to go. Puffing a little bit heavier, a little bit of heat coming out. So, anything interesting you've been watching? I finally got to see the second episode of Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Kind of a horror episode. Interesting. Different. What I like about Strange New Worlds, they do a lot of different genres within the Star Trek universe. It's really kind of interesting. They've done musicals, crossovers with animation. Now they do this horror one. It's interesting. It's interesting. Then I also finally got to see the first two episodes of Stewart Fails to Save the Universe, which is fun. Although I gotta say I'm a little bit disappointed. Although I shouldn't be disappointed, right? If you're not familiar, Stewart Fails to Save the Universe is a spin-off from The Big Bang Theory. And if you're familiar with The Big Bang Theory was about these geeky guys and this girl, and these geeky guys worked at Caltech, and they're kind of brilliant. So evidently in the storyline, they create some kind of time warp machine that transforms the universe into dystopian existences. And every episode, I guess, they're going. Stewart is on a quest to try to right the universe and bring everything back to normal. And so each one, they go to a different parallel universe. I say that I'm a little disappointed only because, like, after watching Strange New Worlds, which is an hour episode, we go to Stewart, and Like the Big Bang Theory, it's a half an hour episode. So it's like, oh man, it's like, oh, it's over already. It's like, man, I would like it to run an hour. Tony says new Lioness started all strong, but only one episode. Oh, and the new season of the agency is. Oh, all right. I'll try to check those out. The Lioness is still with Zoe Saldana. I presume it is. I like the first season. I mean, not terribly captivating. Like I said, this is a cigar to like pass the time. David's here. What's going on? Good evening to you as well. Tony says Zoe Saldana, yes, and they are on season 3. Oh, I totally missed season 2. I've only seen season 1. I enjoyed season 1. David, since you're just joining us, we're not on the cigar that was noted for the episode, the Espinosa Knuckle Sandwich. That Robusto went pretty fast, so I'm on some old 15-year-old bearing, 16-year-old bearing. Not bad. And Rusty says Ted Lasso season 4 dropped yesterday. Ooh, gosh, so man, I haven't seen Ted Lasso since season 2, so I need to check that out. Rusty, did you watch the Bear? I did not yet. I have it downloaded, but I have not. I haven't even seen the full season 3 yet. I've seen like maybe 4 episodes of season 3. Tony says the Hawk with Will Ferrell has been getting a lot of good talk. Oh, interesting. Will Ferrell, what's he doing? Meaning, like, what's his character like? Like, is it a comedy or is it a serious acting endeavor? Oh, man, it is a strange coffee drink. Probably shall not be buying it again. Sports comedy about a golfer. Ah, gotcha, gotcha. And David's smoking a Crux Marblehead. Ooh, how are you enjoying that? I don't think. Have I had a Crux? I think I might have had one Crux. Maybe not. There's so many cigars that are out that I haven't had the chance to really check out yet. Rusty says I binge watched The Bear in Hawaii, and how was it? I liked how they. Oh, okay. I need to watch it. I need to watch it. And Rusty, how's your new gig coming along? One at the stadium. I did make it to the bagel shop that morning. I ended up getting there fairly early, like right around 10 o'clock. Got a bunch of bagels, was able to keep them until I came home. So now they're in the freezer, wrapped up individually. There was a girl there that was serving me. Very like New Jersey girl, like New Jersey Italian looking girl, really pretty. Like I was like, oh, how you doing? I need a bagel, please, to go because I got to roll. Tony says you met the Cruxer up there. Oh, that guy. Okay, yeah, yeah. Sadly, he did not have any cigars to share with us. So did you pick it up at your shop there, Tony, the Crux? Snooki or JWoww? She was like I would say that she was like classic, like New Jersey Italian look. Like, oh, you did not. Okay, okay. I don't think I've seen those. Does anyone carry those in our area? Rusty said it's great. I just handed in my notice today. I leave at the end of the season. Oh, okay, gotcha. I was like, oh, it's great, but you're quitting. But I guess it is August, so it's almost time for school. When does school begin for you guys? You too, George. When is school starting for you? Gosh, it's already August. Can you believe it? I think my niece goes back to school like in 2 weeks because they're taking her to Toronto to go look at to universities. And then I think once they come back, it's like almost time to start the year. Andrew says, call me an old curmudgeon, but I've dropped all paid subscriptions to TV except Prime as I shop Amazon and Whole Foods. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. I have no subscriptions. I don't think you should have subscriptions. I only really watch YouTube. Like, that's really the whole thing. I watch YouTube, and then I watch a couple select shows like now Strange New Worlds and Fails to Save the Universe, and that's it. It's just, I find it difficult to have the time to watch more, right? Like, I just got a lot that I'm doing, so it's like, I don't really get an opportunity to sit down and just watch a lot of shows like I used to. Rusty says teachers start on the 24th, kids on the 20th. Wow, man, that's not a lot of. That seems to me like it's not a lot of time. Like, do you do they give you time to prepare before the 24th, or is it like 24th, the doors are open for teachers to walk in. You walk in that day, you fix whatever you need to fix, and then you start the next day? That seems very difficult. George says the teachers report on the 17th, students return on the 26th. Okay, okay. See, that's a little more time. I saw a listing earlier this year, back in May or June, for this teacher position. I think it was Spanish. And I was thinking, should I apply for that? Or should I apply for a teaching position for the year? But then I was like, you know what, man, if I took a job like that, that's a lot of commitment. Like, at high school, you have to be there every day. It's not like college. You just go there when you teach a class. I was like, do I want to be somewhere every day? Not really. Tony says there's a new Bret Easton Ellis show done by Ryan Murphy on FX called Shards about 80s Hollywood and 80s and the serial killer, Bret Easton Ellis. Unusual. I remember back in the 80s, there was a Bret Easton Ellis wrote that novel. Was it American? Not American Psycho. Was it American? I think it was American Psycho. And I remember reading it, and I was laughing because I was like, "Oh, look at this!" Because that guy in that book, I think it was American Psycho. He was wearing shirts made by a designer by the name of Ike Behar, and I was like, "Oh," because I had those shirts too. I was like, "Oh, I'm as fancy as the guy that's killing girls in the novel." David says, if you're my age, you remember starting the Tuesday after. See, that's exactly how it used to be. I think that's what it should be. Here in Maryland, I think at one point, the governor, I think it was Hogan, I thought he set the date that it had to be after Labor Day. Is it no longer like that? George? George would know. Rusty says, I can go in whenever I want. We just do it, we just don't get paid. Okay, but I had PD all this week and personal days all this week and 3 days next week. So, like, oh, okay, gotcha. Like, is there a lot? I'm curious, like, is there a lot to prepare? Like, I don't know. I kind of have this thought that, you work in a kitchen at the school. I mean, of course, there's food in the fridge you probably have to restock, but Are you able to leave your kitchen in a way that you could just walk in and turn everything back on and it's already clean and everything's ready to go? Or do things happen during the summer where you have to come in and reorganize everything again? It was American Psycho, and he did Lesson Zero. Right around the time Lesson Zero came out in the 80s, I was on the train coming back from New York to Baltimore, and I shared the car because I was sitting in the food car where they have the booths, and the booth next to me was Andrew McCarthy from Lesson Zero. In his Lesson Zero days, coked way the hell up. Like he was sitting there all coked up. I was like, right on, dude. All right. Well, that's good. It's getting a little bit strange tasting. So we're going to put that down. All right. I guess that's going to be it for this week. Back again next Thursday, 8 p.m. with more of the coffee Q&A. I mean, I keep saying that, more of the Coffee and Cigars live stream, the Thursday Night Hang. And based on what I see here on my reference monitor, it's a little bit behind from what I'm actually doing in real life. So whenever I end the stream on the phone, it automatically shuts it off and becomes private rather than public. So I have to go back and set it to public once again, which I'll do after this. But in case it kills out, that's exactly what happens. Tony, good night to you. Good night to everyone. Thank you for all for tuning in. David, sorry to cut out when you just joined us, but we're here every Thursday night, 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Eastern time, more or less. So come join us again. Look forward to seeing all of you. And if you're in the area on Tuesday morning, in here in Baltimore, come up to Mount Washington Cigar around 10 a.m. We're going to have a cigar there. So Rusty says, you know why most schools now start before Labor Day? AP classes. Most kids in the U.S. start early August, so kids in New Jersey have a disadvantage. Oh. All right. I'm glad to know that. So hope you have a wonderful day or week, and see you next time.